I believe we're here with Hikaru. I think he can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
So that's the person to ask about the price of oil, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Congratulations on the match victory before you get into oil.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you.
Good.
Yeah.
Hikaru, what's going on? Let's start with your first match against Magnus. What happened in that tiebreak in that Armageddon game?
Yeah, I mean, I think the times were correct when we played the game. It showed 5 minutes and 4 minutes for Magnus, but the way the setup is, in the middle of that game, actually, right when I was deciding between King F1 and King H1, I got the pop-up on my screen with the message in Zoom, and so I saw the one symbol with the chat, so I clicked it, and I saw it said arbiter said I think it was one of the arbiters said abort the game, and so like I spent like 25 seconds trying to figure out what to do, and I was like, okay, I mean, I might as well just make a move at that point. So obviously times were correct, so it's not that big of a deal. It's unfortunate it happened when it did, but I don't think the result would have been different. So it's not such a big deal for me at this point.
Yeah. Thanks for being so gracious. I can tell you what happened on our end. We have this little tool which we call Live Chess Viewer, which displays the PGN. And there, because the PGN import was a sort of an experiment, I think the clocks were reversed. So we all protested internally, but of course it didn't affect you guys in the play zone. But a bit of a mess there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, to give you an example, I rewatched this documentary on Alpha. I think it was AlphaGo very recently, like maybe a week or two ago. And I remember there was one scene in it where in the critical game when Lisa Doll won the game, the commentators said something like, is this a bug from AlphaGo? And then the point was that with AlphaGo, they said if they've eliminated bugs altogether, that's much bigger than solving the game of Go. So I mean, every program has bugs still. So it happens, obviously.
And
how did it go today? Went well, yeah?
Yeah, I was going to say your match today was actually relatively smooth. You were worse in some game. I recall the game where you were pawn down, where he didn't put near enough pressure on you.
Well, I mean, this last game I think was very messy because it was a must-win game. So I think there were two things. Anish didn't have a straightforward plan, and then secondly, he was also down on the clock as well, which made it very difficult. And I think actually towards the end, I might have had a way to win if I had played Queen G5 right away instead of allowing him to double his rooks on the back rank. So yeah, I mean, overall it was good. The first game was, I mean, pretty terrible, I think, from both of us. In the opening, I was probably just much worse, I think. And then Anish just let me off the hook. He just tried to play normal moves instead of trying to punish me. So I got pretty lucky in that, and then it turned into a smooth victory. And I mean, other than that, it was just very, very smooth, it felt. So it's nice to win a match where you don't feel like there's a lot of pressure throughout.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, internally, when you got that endgame in game 2, I understand it was probably quite unpleasant before the E and F pawns got traded. But once the EF pawn get traded, did you feel like you will be pushed around and you will have to defend for a very long time? Or did you feel you will always hold it very comfortably?
Yeah, I mean, I think I felt pretty comfortable that I'd be able to hold it. I mean, I think when he played this F4 move in game 2, this, I think there should have been a way to keep everything going where it's just much slower, I felt. Because it's sort of, he forced it where it's like we both have like 5 or 6 minutes, and then it's just a matter of finding the right moves. Yeah, like a few moves earlier, like you go back a few moves. I think at this point already it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, somewhere around here, instead of this Queen E5, Queen D4, I mean, I thought maybe if you go back one move. Yeah, just go back instead of Rook D3. I thought here Bishop E5, F6 was a better try because both rooks stay on the board. Like F6, Queen C4, Rook C4, Bishop D4, Bishop D4, Rook A4, A3. And I mean, it should be a draw, but both rooks stay on the board, and we there's plenty of time for me to start thinking and coming up with a bad idea if Anish can find a way to pose me some problems. So I thought this was a better try because once we got into this very simplified rook and bishop ending, I think it's always a draw, and we both had too much time. So like if you can't put pressure on the clock as well, then it's going to be too easy, I think, to hold here. I mean, I think already in this position, it's very, very hard to even come up with a plan after this rook F8.
In the meantime, the Alireza versus Magnus game has ended in a draw. So Magnus wins that one, 2.5, 1.5, gets his revenge. So no Armageddons today.
Well,
Only one so far, which is I think somewhat surprising, but it was a very exciting match that ended in Armageddon.
Hikaru, what do you think? What's going on with Anish in these rapid games? He has not been playing very well. Is it just a rapid thing online? What's happening there?
So, I mean, I think there are a couple things. I think, first of all, Anish has not played as much online chess as most of the other guys, especially like myself and Maxime. So I think it's probably a little bit less familiar. And so it's slightly different looking at a screen for a couple of hours instead of looking at an actual board. That's the first thing. Secondly, I mean, I think it's just maybe he's just a little bit rusty because he hasn't played since the candidates, perhaps. And so like yesterday, obviously was really, really bad, I think, by anyone's standards. And I think just pushing it over from playing Maxime to having to play me is very hard. So yeah, I think just for Anish, it's difficult, but I think also it's hard because all these guys have to play in the candidates. So it's sort of like a cat and mouse game where you have to decide what openings are you going to play for like Jan, Fabiano, Maxime, and of course Anish. So to me, I thought that was like, it's just Anish playing his real openings kind of surprised me. This Nimzo yesterday was just, I mean, terrible. So it just, I was surprised by that. And I think also, to use an example, I think it's very tricky because I played this match against Fabiano in St. Louis in, I think it was like October of 2015 with the candidates coming up in February. And I played this match and I played like a mix of everything. I had a bad match and Fabiano played better than me and he won the match. And by winning that match, it kind of reversed the fortunes where after that match, he started playing much better against me. Whereas before that match, he had a lot of issues. So I think, I mean, with candidates only halfway done, if certain people start like just crushing other people who they're playing the candidates, there could be some psychological stuff which will actually matter down the road when they resume play.
Right. How's normal, quote unquote, normal life been for you in Corona times? Do you leave your house? Do you go shopping? Do you go running? What's the situation over there?
Yeah, I mean, more or less, it's fine. I don't normally go out that much to begin with, so it's not like there's some huge change in my lifestyle, certainly. But I think it was very surprising because I would say with coronavirus, sometime around second week of March or thereabouts, right after the travel ban and people couldn't travel to Europe anymore, I just started zoning out completely from the news. So it was really a shock when I think it was like last week, maybe I tried to go to the supermarket. I just been going once a week anyway. And it's like, they're like, well, you can't come in. You don't have a face covering. So that's when it kind of started getting very real for me. But I think in general, it's not changing much. I'm still at home. I get out every so often. But I mean, I think with the situation, everybody kind of has to stay inside. But I think more than that, the trickiest part is finding motivation, finding like any interest to do anything. I mean, I'm finally studying chess again, but for quite a while, it's just like you don't really. It's hard to find the motivation because you don't know when your next tournament is, and when you don't know when your next tournament is, it's are you studying? Are you going to play in a month, or is it going to be 4 or 5 months down the road? So finding the motivation to do anything is probably the hardest part about this.
Gotcha. Well, we hope you'll be motivated for your next matches. Congratulations on the victory. Thank you so much for joining, Hikaru.
Sure. Thank you.